At the T-minus 1 minute mark, the flight computers will go into startup mode. They'll be controlling the countdown on the Falcon Heavy. What's different in this flight? Engine ignition will begin at T-minus 5 seconds on the two side boosters, followed 2 seconds later by the center core. Now we're continuing to watch the weather, making sure that the ground liftoff winds don't exceed the maximum, but they're looking good right now. We continue monitoring the upper altitude winds as reported by the balloons. But right now at T-minus 10 minutes and 10 seconds and counting, the Falcon Heavy test flight is go.
Because the first flight of Falcon Heavy is a test mission, we do not have a customer spacecraft on board today. Instead, we put something a little special with SpaceX inside the fairing. Now, more often than not, on the first flight of a new rocket, engineers will choose to fly a mass simulator, which is basically a heavy object of some sort to simulate the dynamics of flying a payload, but with little consequence if the mission doesn't work out exactly as planned. And as many of you already know, we have opted to have a little fun with our mass simulator. Stacked inside the fairing is Elon's cherry red Tesla Roadster, and inside of it, a passenger. His name is Starman, but don't worry, he's not human. But he is donning the SpaceX-designed spacesuit that our human astronauts will be wearing on Crew Dragon. And if all goes well today, we hope to get some live views of it as it makes its way into space. Now, in addition to the Roadster, you might also catch a glimpse of a smaller passenger, which is a tiny little Hot Wheel Roadster carrying a tiny little Starman, which is a little Easter egg for today's mission, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But those are not the only payloads we're flying today. Secured inside the Roadster is another really special passenger called an ARC. An ARC is a 5D laser optical quartz storage device, which is essentially a high-tech, high-data storage unit that can survive in the harsh environment of space. It's built by the ARC Mission Foundation, which is an organization whose purpose is to store libraries of human knowledge and data on these devices and send them off into space with interplanetary travelers, thus preserving human achievements well beyond Earth. On the ARC that's being launched today, the Foundation has stored Isaac Asimov's classic sci-fi series, The Foundation Trilogy, which was the original inspiration for the ARC mission. And given that making humanity a multiplanetary species is the core purpose of SpaceX, launching an ARC on this mission just seemed fitting. And last but certainly not least, a little something special for our hardworking SpaceX team. Mounted on the payload attach fitting, which is the structure that holds the Roadster onto the second stage, there's a plaque on which the names of over 6,000 of our SpaceX employees are engraved. The work that goes into designing, building, testing, and launching a vehicle of this sort is no small feat. And we are super excited to be a part of the Roadster's billion-year journey through the solar system.
As Lauren just mentioned, if all goes well today, Falcon Heavy will put the Roadster on board into an Earth-Mars orbit around the sun on a journey that could last for 1 billion years. Now, on a universal scale, this means that the Roadster will be tracing the shape of an ellipse with the sun at one of its fixed points, or one of its foci. Now, we call this heliocentric because it is sun-centered. The outermost distance on that same ellipse will intersect the path that Mars takes while it is on its own journey around the sun. That's quite far away. That will reach a maximum distance from Earth of over 400 million kilometers. In Earth terms, that's about the same as a trip around the equator 10,000 times. But during its journey, the Roadster will also reach a maximum velocity of nearly 40,000 kilometers per hour, or about 20 times faster than a speeding bullet. Now, as we said, it should stay up in orbit around the sun for about 1 billion years, and it's a very long, exciting road ahead, and we are thrilled to be able to take the first steps on that journey just 5 minutes from now.
The SpaceX team continues to count down for launch of Falcon Heavy test flight. Now, once we light the engines, Falcon Heavy will check the power on all 27 Merlin engines, a critical period in the go-no-go for launch. It'll then command release from the ground hold downs. 40 seconds into flight, we'll decrease power on the two side boosters in preparation for maximum aerodynamic loads on the vehicle. Once we get through this period, Falcon Heavy will throttle back up to full power on the side boosters. About half a minute later, we will again throttle down the two side boosters. This time we're decreasing the forces on the rocket structure. At this point in flight, the vehicle is much lighter, having burned off much of the propellant, but we are increasing thrust. 2.5 minutes into flight, we'll fully turn off the side boosters, an event called BECO, Booster Engine Cutoff. At this point, the pneumatic separation system on the center core will unlock the two side boosters and push them away. The side boosters will disconnect first at the top of the center core, then milliseconds later from the bottom, so they'll actually rotate away from the center core slightly. Once the side boosters are clear, the center core will throttle up to full power and burn for another 25 seconds. Finally, at just past 3 minutes after liftoff, the center core will shut down, an event called MECO, main engine cutoff, and the second stage will separate. From this point on, it's like a Falcon 9 mission. The fairing will separate, the MVAC-D upper stage engine fires, eventually sending the stage and payload out into the solar system to orbit around the sun. So that gives you a feel for the sequence of events we're planning on today's flight. So now, at T-minus 4 minutes, 45 seconds and counting, let's witness the test flight of Falcon Heavy.
MVAC and A1D fuel bleed has started. And locks lower, throttling to close up. NY lock load complete.
Check on your screen. Sometimes this footage goes out when it approaches the drone ship and the heavy vibrations make it lose signal.
PY lock load, throttling to close up.
That's not the case right now.
PY lock load complete.
So it looks like the landing is happening at the moment. We have lost signal. We're hoping that
Stage 2 TVC motion is nominal.
As Michael mentioned earlier, with the vibrations of the rocket and how it shakes up the cameras that are on the drone ship, sometimes we do lose signal, or it shakes up the antennas.
Logo bleed verification. Center core lock load complete.
Turn-back rotor has ended. Turn-back's at 88.2 degrees.
And we're still waiting to hear. We'll let you know as soon as we find out. You'll know. People are cheering, but we'll get the call and know hopefully very, very soon how that center core is doing, whether it's standing up proud on that ship or not.
meanwhile, those were absolutely gorgeous. Meanwhile, the second stage is continuing its trajectory towards Mars. It's all looking good there. John, come give us a recap of the full mission.
He stands.
Well, if you can hear all that cheering, it was an outstanding test flight of the Falcon Heavy.
Stage 2 lock load complete. Falcon Heavy power load is complete.
Cameras cycling right now. Live views coming down from low Earth orbit. The second stage successfully got there, and it got there.
Falcon Heavy is on internal power.
Falcon Heavy test flight. We lit 27 engines, throttled the boosters up and down. We separated the side boosters.
Vehicles in self-align.
Ground gas closeouts has started.
The center core did its
Falcon Heavy gas loads are complete.
everything that you could want in a test flight. We got here. Now we're just looking for the icing on the cake.
M1D fuel bleed complete.
But all in all, an outstanding test flight for Falcon Heavy.
Wow, what an absolutely momentous occasion.
M1D engine chill is complete.
ASTS is ready for launch.
Ground gas closeouts are complete.
Falcon Heavy is in startup. Stage 2 pressing for flight.
What happened to the center core and what's going on with Starman as he makes his journey through space? launches, you can visit us at SpaceX.com and follow us on social media, on LinkedIn and Twitter.
If you would like to join us on exciting
T-minus 30
projects like
seconds.
these,
Launch director on countdown 1. SpaceX Falcon Heavy, go for launch.
Thank you again for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Falcon Heavy is configured for flight.
T-minus 15, stand by for terminal count. 10, 9, 8,
Side booster ignition.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition.
Seconds, if you can hear me over the cheering. Falcon Heavy heading to space on our test flight. Building on the history of Saturn V Apollo, returning pad 39A to interplanetary mission. We're getting ready to throttle down for max Q. You've heard the call out. Vehicle is supersonic. Side boosters are now throttling back up to full power.
Maximum dynamic pressure.
We're past max Q, the period of maximum loads on the vehicle. Next up, we'll be waiting for the side boosters to begin to throttle down prior to booster engine cutoff and separation 2.5 minutes into flight. GNC trajectory looks good on the Falcon Heavy.